So driving the other day, and somebody in a Range Rover was flashing their lights behind me at a traffic light hard. And they said, "No brake lights, you have no brake lights." So sure enough, I tested it out. Checked it out when I got back. Of course, I still took a good drive. And I don't have any brake lights. So probably the brake light switch. Let's take a look and see if that is it. Let me get a screwdriver. So 7780, you've got the brake with the power brake servo. So there's a cover here that will take off to see a little more of how the switch, brake light switch, is working with the brake pedal. Okay, so here's our brake light switch behind the brake box there, the pedal box. And as soon as you hit the brake pedal, it activates your brake lights. So let me get that switch out and see if it's working. All right, it was drawing time to see how this switch works. This is a brake pedal, in case you couldn't tell, with the whole arm, and here's the pedal down here. This brake light switch, that's it here, coming through the pedal box, represented by that horrible line, is pushed in when you're just cruising around without hitting the brakes. No brake lights on when that switch is pushed in. And that's our brake light not on. When you push the brake pedal in, it moves the pedal arm away from the switch, and as that comes out, the switch is no longer pushed in, and that actually activates your brake lights. So it's a little bit backwards from the earlier models that actually the brake light switch is on this side, and as the switch gets pushed in with your brakes, it activates the brake lights. So 77 to 80, the switch is like this, where it comes away, and then your brake lights are on. So if you don't put this in far enough to start with, your brake lights are always on. We've all seen those old cars with the brake lights always on. So you have to start with it pushed in. It's tough, the hood and everything. Essentially has kind of a lock nut on there, and I've loosened that. And now I'll have to disconnect the wires and unscrew it from kind of itself. It twists in there. It's, I would say, not the best setup. Okay, so here it is. And yeah, the only way to get this out, it's basically like a bolt, is to twist it in there, in the back. And of course the wires get all tied around it. Fortunately, they're plenty long, but it's kind of silly. And let me just hit the ignition on. There we go. You could hear the fuel pump click once. I already had it pumped up. Okay, so I've plugged it back in and just kind of push the switch in, and I should see saw brake lights for a second there. And now our brake lights should be on because that's not hitting anything at all, right? And they are, so the switch is okay. Brake lights are on. Interestingly though, this thing is getting hot as it's sitting here. So I did get a replacement. I'm gonna try the replacement. I'm not sure why this is getting so hot. So maybe it was kind of going. Okay, I just plugged in my brand new one and I was testing it out a little bit and it's staying ice cold. So I don't know why the old one was maybe going here, because I was also thinking that, oh, I don't need to move that lock nut over. I was also thinking that as I hit the brakes harder and harder, moving that pedal down more, it really should have eventually brought the brake lights on, because hopefully it would have gotten away from this. So I'm now suspicious that there was something up with this switch. We'll change it out, and I think the bottom line is frequently when your brake lights fail, it's probably this brake light switch. So maybe here's a tip as we try to install the new one. I've zip tied the cord all together, because remember, we got to turn this in the back like that. So with it all zip tied together and not flailing around, maybe it'll save me some trouble, save the wires from getting all tangled up. I'll give it a shot. I can't really video getting it in here too well because, well, you can't see anything way back down in there. And essentially here, the hood's in the way. So, you know, it's not the most fun. If you guys that have the hydraulic hood latches that go way up higher, hood rod struts, bonus when you're doing a brake light switch. Okay, so I've got it in there now, and down in there it's contacting, I think, the lever, the brake pedal arm. And so now I'll undo my zip tie, plug it in, and we'll see if the brake lights are off. I might have it too far in, or vice versa. We'll see here. Okay, plugged it in, turned on the ignition, and my brake lights are off right now. I got the cover half on the car here, as you can see. Let me reach the pedal. There we go. So we're back in business. All right, so just got that lock screw down nice and tight. It's actually 9/16. And so this time I made it real tight. It may have loosened up. Well, I think that switch was bad. Like I said, it was getting hot. And, you know, I pushed the brakes way down. I still wasn't getting brakes. So the switch must have been going on me. All right, now I just have these barely plugged in. I'll plug them in a little tighter. And you don't need much of a wiring diagram for the brake light switch. There's a solid green that goes to the solid green. And there's a white with green. It goes to the white with green. So for once, this one's pretty easy, and I'm gonna push these in further now. You can see I even have it going through, the wires coming through that hole in the brake box, just to keep it nice and pretty. And then I'll put my cover back on here, and we'll be in business. It's raining outside. I can't do the classic test drive, dang it. But let's test it one more time. Now that I bolted that down tight, could put you guys back there to see the brake lights, but, oh, and I left the ignition on, so right now I'm heating up the coil. Okay, I like that. Doesn't come on, I got barely touching the brake. It's not coming on until I push it down, like just a little bit, so that's great. I think that's gonna be good. I probably should get nice bright brake lights because of, you know, small car and just old-fashioned taillights. I know a lot of you guys are switching to LEDs. I should probably do that too. All right. Hey, that should do us for now. Back in business.